Hello everyone, welcome to the CerusBrix semifinals. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. Stay tuned.
It's not on music. It's not live. I can see the icon.
Really? Oh, that sucks. Like mini lock screen. Yep.
Hello everyone, welcome to the CerusBrix Open semifinal stage. We are just finishing up briefing our athletes and getting ready for a countdown. Okay. athletes are going to have up to 35 minutes to complete this first stage. In the first lane, we have Jess Kidd.
You want me to start it?
Yeah, I can do it from here. In the first lane, we have Jess Kidd. She's going to be starting with a 65-pound barbell. In the second lane, we have Sergio Lopez, who actually just finished qualifying this morning in 8th place overall. In the third lane, Steve Gaborik. Yep, you're good to go. Yeah, you want to kill it? Okay. In the third lane, Steve Gaborik. And in the fourth lane, Richard Leeper, who finished qualifying in 7th place. And their countdown is going right now. So they're starting a 3-part complex. The complex consists of a deadlift, a power clean, which they have to get up to a full stand, and then they have to do a thruster, so it means they have to go down to full depth and then full overhead extension without stopping in the middle. See, right now this is the lightest weight. In subsequent laps, they're going to keep adding 20 pounds every time. So it's going to start out pretty fast and get kind of ugly in a hurry. After this, the athletes are headed to a sled push to rope pull, which will be a total of 300 feet. So we'll watch as they start transitioning, and I'll start giving you weights. Right now, we've got 95 pounds on the bars for our men, 65 pounds, and you can see Jess Kidd is now making the transition over to start her sled push. And Richard Leeper and Steve Gaborik also making their move over to start their push. Now they're going to be on this section for a bit. It's 3 times they're going to push the length of the turf down, and then 3 times they'll come all the way back and have to pull inside of a 5-foot pull box, which is actually pretty challenging, so they can't just wrap their hands around it and keep walking backwards. We'll watch as the athletes start with the push. Here we go, and Sergio is now also moving over to the sleds. This is a long workout, and so really this early positioning, what matters is the pacing of the athletes and then also seeing how they handle the heavier weights. Right now, this is the lightest it's going to be. Sergio is completing his first push. All the other athletes are in their pull stage. Now, a big piece of strategy and technique in this stage is, will we see athletes go hand over hand? Are they going to lock out their arms and stand? Or are they going to lock out their arms and walk backwards? The reason it matters is the next step after this, they'll be headed to a rope climb and pull into pull. Those pull muscles are going to get taxed pretty heavily. I know Rich, who we're following here, is pretty strong in terms of his pull muscles, and he's not so worried about the technique on the sled rope pull, but we'll see how he does as we get deeper into this workout. The deeper we get into this workout, the more weight they do, the more repetitions of rope climb, and the heavier these sleds get. So right now we are in the easiest stage and just 2.5 minutes in. Rich is completing his second pull, as is Jess Kidd. So both of them will have a third and final.
That's what I was
Okay. All right. So each of these athletes has a judge making sure everything is up to standard here. This is the first weekend of semifinals. It's the smallest weekend we'll have. After this weekend, we're going to have 2 much more full semifinal athlete.
I'm working on it.
The athletes are requesting some music, but unfortunately Facebook likes to shut us down if the music's too loud, so we're going to see if we can compromise somewhere in the middle. So Rich and Jess are both completing their third push. They'll then do their third pull, a rope climb, a single rope climb this lap. And we'll see Rich is walking back, and Sergio is starting his second push. Now Sergio, given the way that the schedule works, could only make this semifinal, so he actually finished and qualified this morning. So he's already done a full workout, the agility workout, to get to this stage, and he's just going for it. So we might see if that fatigue starts to set in. I know Sergio's very much an endurance-focused athlete, but we'll see how that earlier workout that the other athletes didn't have to do affects it. On the back half, you can see the different techniques being used, and this is going to change as the weight gets heavier. But see, Jess Kidd is activating with her legs. We call that pop and lock, and she's headed over to her first rope climb. You can see Steve right in front of the camera is using a combination of activating with his legs with locked arms and then going hand over hand. Sergio's going pure hand over hand as Rich and Jess both ascend for their single rope climb and get ready to increase their weight for lap 2. Okay, so we're going to be following them as the leaders early, but again, weight's going to become a big limiting factor. Off camera, you can't see this, but Steve just completed his 300 feet of push and pull, and he's about to head up the rope. It looks like it'll be no problem for him. The big thing we want to watch out for here is as the weight gets heavier, how are the athletes handling it, or is the weight going to hold them up? And then what do they do with the pulls? Because a lot of rope pull on a heavy weight followed by rope climbs is going to fatigue them late. We're only 5.5 minutes in to a possible 35-minute time cap, so we're not going to really see until these weights get a little bit heavier. Watching Jess Kidd right now. She's now working on a 85-pound barbell. Getting her complex in. Didn't seem to slow her down too much. Let's watch this thruster. Yep. That weight's heavy, but not too heavy for her. All the other men here are loading up their weight. They have to actually swap their weight. They're going up to a 115-pound barbell. Let's see Rich's complex. And now comes the tough part, the thruster. Yep, got it. Not too much of a pause on his way up. Steve, rack the weight and pushes it up. So, looks like lap 2 is not going to be too much of a problem for them weight-wise, but we'll have to watch. Lap 3 and 4 is really a separator. Lap 5, if anybody can get to those heaviest weights, is critical. And then time's going to become a factor depending on how long it takes them to work through these heavier weights. Good. Okay, we see Steve. The judge just called out 3. So it sounds like they are pacing these. Now, barbell complex, if you're not familiar with it, requires that they complete all 3 movements in a row. They have to keep their hands on it, and they can't stop. They can't leave the barbell on the ground and then pick it up to finish the second half of the movement. It's considered one movement. So you'll see between reps, they might wait for a while before they engage in that 3-part lift, because otherwise they'd have to start the entire repetition over. Good, Steve and Sergio both diligently working through, and we're going to watch as the athletes each add 45 pounds and move on to round 2. So, Jess Kidd is pushing a 240-pound sled right now, and she's also going to be pulling a 240-pound sled. And Rich is in the mid-3s. I think it's a 335-pound sled, but we will check. Now, Rich, as an athlete, I personally train with him quite a bit. Sled pushes fatigue him, pulls do not. So I think he plans to take his time here, and then he's going to go considerably faster on the pulls than we see the rest of the athletes. For the other athletes like myself, the pulls are really difficult, but we'll have to watch. So here goes Rich. I'm guessing he's going to go with a hand-over-hand technique like Jess Kidd is in lane 1 here. Look at that, just pure strength. Okay, so it looks like we've now moved to all of the athletes starting with their push-pulls. They load their own weight. That's always a requirement. Judges can't be involved. And let's check what weights we're at. So right now on the sled push and pull for women, we're at 245 pounds. For men, we're at 335 pounds push and pull. And then after this, remember this workout gets a bit more difficult, so after this they're going to do 2 rope climbs. And this is where we'll start to see Do the rope pulls and rope climbs start to work against each other? My guess is we're going to see that happen for Sergio and Steve, and not as much for Rich. I think Rich is going to be limited much more by the weight, but we'll have to see. Right now they're pacing themselves pretty evenly, and we're coming up to the 10-minute mark of this workout. They have a possible 35 total minutes. We'll be right back here with the video feed. Hold on just a minute. Looks like a bit of a technical issue, so we know the video's down. We're going to get it back up here in just a second. Bear with us, we are still troubleshooting a new system. We've got Rich finishing his third push, Jess Kidd finishing her second pull, Sergio and Steve finishing their first pull, and we will be right back with the video shortly. we're back. Apologies again. We are testing a new system for championships, and so far, not so good. Okay, so what'd you miss? Rich and Jess both finished lap 1. They're working on their third weight. So for Jess, that means she's going to be working with a 105-pound barbell, which she's moving. Ooh, she lost it. She's got to restart. And Rich will be working with a 155-pound barbell. She's going to go ahead and take some time. So it looks like this is going to be the lap 3 of a possible 6 laps where weight starts to become a factor. In the background off camera, Sergio is finishing his lap 2 rope pulls. And he's done, so he's coming back to this heavy barbell, and now is where it gets interesting. Rich gets one. Okay, Rich is up. He's going again. He's going again, and he's got it. So Rich looks like he's going to be moving through these 155-pound thrusters and into the round 3, where he's going to face off. Very nice. In round 3, Rich is going to face off against a 380-pound sled push-pull. There he goes. Wow. Moving through it. Here goes Steve. He's got it. Wow. Good job. So you can see athletes are already struggling, and this is round 3 of a possible 6 rounds. Oh, Jess gets one. There she goes. All right. This is where we expect people to take the most time. Sergio gets it. All right. So it looks like we're going to be seeing the rest of round 3 for each of these athletes. It's just a matter of how long these lifts take them and how taxed they are before they get back to this even heavier weight. So correction, this is only round 3, so we're looking at a 135-pound barbell for men. 135-pound barbell for men, and 105 for women. So there are 2 more possible weights on top of the weight we're looking at right now. Weight's going to be the great separator in this first part of the semifinal. Here goes Rich, 135 pounds, down and up. He's got it. Okay, and Rich is actually, looks like he's done. Yep, he checks with the judge. He's done with his 6th and final rep. Yep, Steve gets his. So Rich is now headed to his 380-pound sled. He's going to load the weight, and it starts to get real interesting. Jess on the 105. She is feeling it. Sergio also on the 135-pound barbell. These guys are starting to really hurt. Good job, guys. Steve gets it again. So Steve, not limited by the weight here. He actually looks like he made up a good 30 seconds of time. Compared to Rich, he took about 30 seconds less, and he's going to load the sled. Steve's more of a weight specialist than Rich. And there you can see Rich is struggling with this weight here. Remember, he's fatigued from doing 6 of those complexes, and now he's got to push this 380-pound sled and then pull it 3 separate times. Let's see how Steve looks under this weight. He is launching right now. Looks like a difficult launch, but he's got some decent momentum. See Rich walking back to finish just his first rope pull at the 20-minute mark. And there goes Steve. can see him on camera. Doesn't look like he's struggling too much with the push. Short, choppy steps. He's got his arms locked out, which is an interesting strategy choice. Normally, putting your shoulders closer to the poles is a little bit easier. And I'm not sure if that's a deliberate strategy choice or he's just fatigued and not thinking too much about it. Here goes Jess Kidd. She got it. Yes, and she's moving on. Moving on. All right. She's feeling it. Sergio still powering through his 135-pound barbell. He's talking with his judge. Looks like he's being corrected on not being able to push jerk. He needs to maintain momentum, and yep, that's what his judge is correcting him on right now. So it looks like he gave him the rep with a warning. And we're watching Jess now. So Jess is now working on a 290-pound sled. Jess is a true hybrid athlete. She's going to not have too much of a problem with either of these workouts because the second workout after this, she's also equally good in endurance-focused agility workouts, like the obstacle that they'll face in the second half of this. Sergio's got the weight up. See if he follows his judge's correction and gets it all the way up with no pause. He got it. Yep. Good. Weight's going to be the great separator here. So we watch these guys powering through their 380 and 290-pound sleds. Let's see what Steve's doing technique-wise here. Yep, so he's using his legs to activate, and now he's locking out his hands. So no more hand-over-hand technique. He is lock and pull, as we call it. So that's going to preserve his pull muscles on the 3 rope climbs that he has up ahead of him. As we see Rich working on, I believe this is his 2nd or 3rd sled push length. He's actually motoring pretty good. Something inspired him here, and he's just picked up his pace considerably. Look at that. Really fast pushing. Okay. Good. And Sergio has moved on. So he's going to load the weight and try to catch up to these boys. Steve gearing up for his 2nd push. And then just off camera, we can see Rich. It looks like that sprint with the weight might have fatigued him a little bit more than he intended. He is doubled over on his hands and knees, and he's hurting. Gasping for air and not started in the pull. Now he's getting up, collecting himself. Let's see how this pull goes.
There you go, Sergio!
So here goes Rich with his pull. He is also locking out his hands. Okay.
There you go, Sergio. Steve. Keep that momentum.
Okay. So, Rich working on his 3rd and final push, which will be followed by 3 rope climbs, and then we're going to get to the weight where I know Rich has hit it in training, but 155-pound thrusters will probably take him 7 or 8 minutes to get through, depending on how fatigued he is right now. You've got Sergio finishing his 1st rope pull, and Steve finishing his 2nd rope pull. Jess Kidd in lane 1 here. she is doing just the short, choppy leg activation. So see how she stands up with the weight? That enables her not to rely just on her upper lats, but also to use her legs as part of the pull. So she is just basically locking out her hands, standing up. Locking out her hands, standing up. Okay, here goes Rich. Rich is walking back to finish his final pull. And then we're going to see some really heavy weights here at the end, but we only have 10 minutes until this workout completes. Rich is doubled over. He's trying to pace himself. Could be that he's gearing up for the final workout after this, or he could just be really hurting right now. Let's see how this pull goes. Doesn't look to be too much problem with him, actually. On the screen, we can actually see some of their heart rate data, which is pretty cool. We can see that at this current moment, Steve is at 87% of his maximum heart rate. Rich is at 86% of his maximum heart rate. So Rich seems to actually be recovering his heart rate during these pulls, which is pretty dang impressive because he's pulling 380 pounds. Let's move in and see how he does. His heart rate's starting to go up a little bit. He's at 89% now. Anything 90% and above we call red line for an athlete, meaning they're pretty much the limit of their ability. And at Cerus specifically, we actually keep our athletes with heart rate monitors so we can see when athletes get too close to that point and pull them off. We're in a competition mode, so we expect to see a lot of redlining. But they're hurting right now, I'll tell you that much. Not quite red line. Rich at 87% and Steve at... Oh, Steve's also changing his technique here. Interesting technique. That is allowed, as long as he stays within the 5-foot section. That means his hands or his lats and pull muscles are hurting. And Steve, good job. Rich has actually completed his third and final pull, and he's now got 3 rope climbs. And he's just gonna, oh wow, he does it in 2 pulls, no problem. How fast is he gonna go right back up that thing? Talking to his judge about something. Okay, here goes Rich, number 2. Not too much time. Rich qualified for the semifinals in 7th place. I know that from experience training with Rich, he's really trying to make his move on the second workout and survive this first workout. But he seems to be doing pretty good. He's got Steve, who qualified in 12th place, and Sergio, who qualified in 8th place with him. So some kind of like competitors, and he seems to be leading the pack here. Steve's getting ready to do his 3 rope climbs while Rich is completed. Now Rich comes up to his biggest challenge yet, a 155-pound barbell. Meanwhile, we see Jess and Steve preparing to do their rope climbs. Now remember, depending on how they pulled that sled, this could be really difficult for them, even though these guys can easily climb ropes on a daily basis. Here goes Steve. So he's using the J-hook technique on his way up there, counting the number of pulls it takes him. So he's going to make that in 3 passes. Jess is inching her way up in what looks like 3 passes as well. So they've each got 1 under their belt. They've got to be there until they finish all 3 rope climbs. And time is just ticking away. In the background, off camera, Rich is getting a break. He looks like he's drinking water. He's got his barbell loaded to the 155 pounds. This is the weight he expects to cap out on. So I think he's taking his time before he really attempts. He doesn't want to waste any excess energy. Here goes Steve. Just completed his 2nd. Excellent work. You can see right in front of the camera the line for the rope pull being completed by Sergio. And remember, Sergio, because of his travel schedule, had to be put in a spot where he both finished qualifying in 8th this morning, and then jumped into the semifinal because he's gone the other 2 weekends of the semi. Jess staring at it, contemplating her 3rd attempt, as is Steve. Steve's up. And Rich nails his first 155-pound complex. That's a big deal. Behind him, you see on the screen, just above him, you can see that Steve, the top little color above him on the TV screen, is at 91% of his max heart rate. Rich hanging at 89% of his max heart rate. Steve's done with his rope. He's headed back to this 155-pound barbell. Oh, these guys are hurting. And we just hit the 30-minute mark of this workout, and Jess is done with her rope climbs. So she's going into round 4. Talking with her judge. How much weight am I adding? What are you looking for? Okay. And Rich nails another one. I think Rich has worked his way through 3 of the 6. And I know for him, getting out of that barbell and just getting any number of repetitions of the final sled, he views as a great separator for him. Just to put himself in good enough position to make it into the championships, he needs to maintain his rank. Okay, Steve's got it loaded. How is he going to handle a 155-pound thruster? He's got it! Nice work to Steve. Now, how long does it take him to get into the next one? We've got some really strong athletes here who are going to be able to really make their mark at this point, and will probably be touch and go, honestly, at this weight. Other athletes with different specialties. Oh, Rich gets it. Man, he's powering through him way better than he did in training. And we can see Sergio. He's working his way through. He's going to get back to that barbell in time to make some noise at 155 pounds. That was his first climb. Here goes Steve, number 2. He's under it. That catch was a little iffy. Steve is up. He's got it. And notice he had to maintain momentum out of the depth of his squat all the way to overhead, which is part of the difficulty of this complex. You can't jerk the weight. You can't load it on your shoulders and then jump underneath the weight, which allows you to do a lot more. You have to actually propel the weight up and not stop. So Rich just completed his power clean. Now watch, he's going to come up and keep momentum, which he does. Excellent job. Both he and Steve are right at the 88% heart rate mark. We don't have heart rate data on the other 2. Steve's up. He's got to watch his low back on that catch, keep his butt out a little bit more. All right, Steve, here we go. He's got it. Wow, that was just pure upper body strength on that. And we are down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So how fast they get off these barbells is about to become really significant. And Rich nails it. A lot of cheers. He's got to go. If he's going to take advantage of this, he's really hurting. If he's going to take advantage of getting through all these, he's got to load the weight on the sled and at least get a push under his belt. He's got 90 seconds to do so, and he is barely off the ground. Oh, Steve is just making up all kinds of ground. Sergio's under it. Let's see how he does. This is a heavy weight, 155 pounds. Nope. So the judge no-repped him because he didn't maintain momentum. So like we talked about earlier, it may be there goes Rich. So Rich just got his 6th rep. He's going to try to hustle and see if he can get a rep under his belt. As we see, Steve is also 1 rep behind him. Rich is loading a plate. He's got 30 seconds to make it to the end. This is going to be a great separator right now. Every single repetition matters. Oh, Sergio lost the weight there on his way up. Steve is going to try to get it. 15 seconds remaining. Rich behind him, sprinting to get this one rep. He's got to get it all the way past the cone. Steve gets the final weight. Steve finished all 6. Rich just passed. 3, 2, 1. Workout 1 is over, and a 10-minute timer is about to begin before they start workout 2. Stay tuned here, guys. We're going to switch the camera over, and in 10 minutes, these poor athletes are about to do this all over again in workout 2. What's up, guys? So just to tell you what's going on right now at this stage, the athletes are in a 10-minute transition point before we get into workout B. So semifinals is actually 2 parts. Workout A is what you just saw. Workout B is a 30-minute workout, and that consists of much lighter weights, but they're going to be going up through, I'll show you this obstacle here. We'll take a quick tour. See Haley on camera, but right behind her is this really big green structure that's set up for the obstacle that they're going to be passing through. The second workout is 30 minutes long, and They're going to get through as many laps as they can of burpees, light hang cleans, or lighter as far as semifinals go, 115 pounds for the men and 75 pounds for Jess Kidd. They're going to go through this obstacle that the camera's pointed at once. If they fail, they'll have to run 2 laps, which is a total of 800 meters of penalty, so a half-mile penalty. The cargo net, which you can see in the distance, is followed after the obstacle or penalty loop, and then they have 1 mile on the echo bikes that you can see in the very far distance where the light is coming through. These athletes are 5 minutes exactly until they're going to go. I'm going to turn off the audio until we get pretty close and these athletes are all set. We'll just let you watch them set up.
5 minutes until Part B is going to start. 5 minutes remaining.
Move that box out. Alright guys, we are about to start. The athletes are on a fixed 10-minute rest until the second workout starts.
You can see it in Rich's face when he pushed up. He's just like,
Oh, I see. Okay, so the athletes are on a 10-minute fixed rest, and then they start. The next clock starts right away, regardless of how ready they are. 30 seconds is the countdown, and we're about to go. There we go. Their countdown has started. 10-second timer is ready.
5, 3, let's go!
10-second countdown.
Nice. We had a false start here. Sounds like they got a 10-second countdown and then another 10-second countdown. There we
Let's
go.
go!
Okay, so they're starting with 10 bar-facing burpees. They have to jump over the bar. After that, they're going to pick up and do 10 hang cleans at the men, 115 pounds, women, 75 pounds. And then we'll see our first obstacle attempts. They have a 36-foot obstacle that's been dubbed the Big Rig to get through. It's set up with a pretty easy configuration for the obstacle specialist, but we'll see. Remember, everybody in Brix is not necessarily an obstacle specialist or a strength specialist. We're trying to reward the best overall athletes, so we should see some people shine here, and some people are going to struggle and run a lot of half-mile penalties. That's okay. All the athletes that we're watching in this heat are actually pretty proficient in obstacles, so I don't think we'll see as much failure early, unless their hands are pretty messed up from all the rope climb work that they just did in that first workout. So, Sergio and Steve both thinking about their life choices here. And let's go. Sergio's up. So Sergio starts, and he's got 1. Steve choosing not to go back down with the weight. He's going to try to cycle through, looks like 3 of them, and then pick it back up. I can see Rich is actually throwing that weight around pretty good. So I know insider knowledge here. I know that Rich's strategy is to take his sweet time getting onto this obstacle. And we're about to see Jess Kidd go through it right before Rich. Go, Jess.
There you go.
So just off camera, Jess Kidd is on her way up on the obstacle
Looking good.
as we watch Steve complete his rig. And there goes Jess Kidd. You can see her on camera. Looks like no problem. Now the way down is actually a bit tricky, so let's see how she handles that. Rich very casually swinging through this. This is his forte. This is what he just wanted to get to this point. And he's making it look easy. There goes Jess. Now she's got... Nice. She gets the bell. No problem for her. Now they're both going at the same time. We're going to get up this cargo net, and then they've got a nice casual mile on the air bike. Steve has completed his barbell work, as has Sergio. They're both headed to or about to start their first obstacle attempt as we watch Rich and Jess complete their cargo network and start on their air bike.
All right, Steve.
So they're going to be doing about a mile of work here, and we're going to watch Steve make his attempt. Here goes Steve on his way up. His hands are slightly open, pretty sweaty. Looks like he chalked up before. This will become a factor, not just now, but later. And Sergio going with the two-handed technique. He's keeping his arms bent, and he's matching hand for hand. It's the safest way, but also the most taxing to get through this obstacle. Oh man, that's fast. Here he goes, matching hand for hand. Great job by Sergio. Uh-oh, Steve's in trouble. Oh, no. So Steve's got a half-mile run ahead of him as Sergio's going to go up the net. I think that was demoralizing for Steve there. Walking a little bit gingerly as he's going to start his penalty run. There he goes. And And you guys couldn't see this, but Steve was trying to shake out his hands. It looks like his forearms are pretty pumped. So he's having some grip issues, and I don't expect it to get any better as we get through this. Sergio, by passing that obstacle, has made a move ahead of Steve. So we are just approaching the 5-minute mark of this workout. Sergio gets on his bike and starts to get through his mile. Meanwhile, we're about to see Rich and Jess go into lap 2. And we'll see how this shakes out after they've already done 35 minutes of work. So these guys are already taxed, but we expect really good scores to be in the 4 to 5 round range. Rich and Jess have completed 1. It's been about 5 minutes, so if they were to maintain this pace and get off the bike here pretty soon, they'd have a shot at 5 full laps. But again, that's contingent upon not slowing down and being able to pass the obstacle each time, which is pretty difficult. Cadence-wise, I can't exactly see the screen, but it looks like Sergio's at about 65 to 68 RPMs. Rich looks at his more casual 63 to 65 RPMs. And I'd put Jess Kidd at probably 58 to 60 RPMs, which is really good. Okay, Rich is off the bike. So that lap took him 5.5 minutes. Let's see how subsequent laps do. He's now going to do it all over again. And Jess Kidd off the bike too. So really close time-wise for those two. They must have been at a very similar cadence, pacing each other well. And off camera, it looks like Steve just completed his first penalty lap. He's got a second one till he can come back, and then he goes up the cargo net. There goes Steve. So Steve will probably see in about 2 minutes from now, depending on how tired he is. Rich looks tired, but again, his goal here is to pace, so that every obstacle is passed, because he doesn't want that essentially half-mile penalty.
Nice and steady. Doing great.
Oh, and he's cycling through this 115 pounds pretty well. Just off camera, Sergio has lost a little bit of initial pace. I'd put him at between 63 and 65 RPMs. But he's probably gained a solid 3 or 4 minute pass on Steve, which is significant for Steve because Steve came into the semifinals qualified in 12th place, and so he's got to pass guys like Sergio, like Rich, in order to move on. Sergio's looking good. He's got a really good engine. To be able to get off the bike and straight into that is significant. That's really difficult, guys. And he's hopping too. Very good. We should be seeing Steve here any minute. Come back in and ascend the cargo net as both Rich and Jess are about to go through their second attempt at the big rig. Let's see how they do. First time Rich was long and skipping as much as he could. He did just chalk up, as did Jess Kidd. And Rich make a big pull, skips on his way up, and a second really big pull, and he looks comfortable. Jess using every ring right now. Let's see how she does on her way up. Yes, she's got it. The climb is the toughest part. And Rich casually passes the obstacle. It's much harder than he made that look. Trust me. And Jess under control here, working her way. Now the key, even though she's working slowly and patiently, is every second she's up there, more fatigue on her grip. So she knows what that clock is. Looks like perfectly paced for her. But as we watch the athletes go deeper into this, that clock is going to get shorter and shorter, the amount of time they can actually spend up in the air until they just can't hold on anymore. So Rich is done with his cargo net. He's moved on to the air bike. Steve is now back in from his penalty loop. He's completing his first lap. So you can see that cost him, looks like it's going to cost him a net of more like 4.5 to 5 minutes. than the originally anticipated 4 minutes, so he must have been pretty slow on that run, and I'm guessing that's just general fatigue. And Steve's off, so Steve's now got his mile air bike, an entire lap behind Rich and Jess, and then somewhere in the middle here we have Sergio, he's midway through lap 2, he's going to be on the obstacle again. And this is where we're going to start watching an athlete like Sergio. He's been here. He's already done 1 lap. He's already done 2 workouts today. Can his grip hold up for a 3rd workout? Barbell work is still smooth. He's definitely fatigued. Okay, here we go. This is a big moment for him. If he can't get through this obstacle on this attempt, he's probably running penalty loops the rest of the way. And we have 20 minutes to go, so this is significant.
You're an animal, my man. You got this.
He's taking some time to chalk up, thinking about it. And he really should take as much time as he needs here, because that 4 to 5 minutes we just saw Steve go through is what would be standing ahead of him. So it's worth the extra rest. But if you're not positive you're going to pass it, I'd almost just go straight into the run. Let's see how this goes.
You got it, Sergio.
He's up.
There you go.
Last time he went bent arm hang. This time he's skipping ropes or rings on his way up. Wow. Okay, so he's skipping. I'm guessing he's trying to save his grip and get through this as quickly as he can before the grip fails. Oh man. Speedy and athletic. You can see why he did so well in the agility in the open. He's lost his swing a little bit. Let's see if he can still hold on. Oh. Got it. Wow, that was big. That was a big deal. And so he's going up the net. Let's take a look back at Jess and Rich. Rich just finished his 2nd lap here, and he's headed into lap 3. Unblemished, as has Jess. No problems on the rig, as has Sergio. Steve still completing his lap 1 mile on the Echo bike. And Rich is into his burpees. Sergio back on the bike, just off camera. He's shaking out his arms. You can't see, but the forearm pump is pretty significant for all these guys. Sergio doesn't even have his hands on the bike. He's just pumping with his legs. So grips become a factor here, and we are not even at the halfway point of this workout. So here goes Jess. She's starting lap 3, really performing really well. Jess is really a jack of all trades athlete. She works on a lot of functional strength, but also runs 50 miles plus in some of the longer endurance events. Rich gets his first reps up. Now remember, the longer Rich also has this barbell up, that takes grip strength to hold that barbell and keep swinging it, right? You have your hands wrapped around the bar just like you're wrapping your hands around the ring. It's a significant amount of grip strength. It's also taxing, but the biggest thing we're watching here is grip strength from here on out,
Good, Jess, good.
as the obstacle is really the great separator for the rest of the way. Rich has got it up. We'll see how many times he dumps the weight in order to preserve his grip.
There you go, Rich.
Looks like he's keeping it up. Wow. He's through. Okay, so he's about to start his 3rd attempt on the rig. He's going to take a couple seconds. Catch his breath. He's shaking his arms. His heart rate is at 89% of max. Steve seems to have recovered his heart rate a bit, 83 to 85% of his max. Oh, as Rich casually swings through this rig. Oh my goodness. It's really not that easy. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was easy for him, not the rest of us humans. And let's see how Jess Kidd has just completed her
Got this, Steve.
third time through the beginning of this workout and about to do her third rig. Again, she's working her forearms. You can see the way she's holding her fingers, that her grip is a big factor here. And she's taking some time breathing and watching. Now, Steve here in lap 2 is getting through his hang cleans. And we're going to see, does he go for the obstacle again? Or does he just go straight to the run? Because he could waste a lot of time here. Ooh, Jess is making her way up, ring for ring. Very solid technique. She's pulling her back arm and then reaching ahead. She's got her lower body swing, feeding into the next hand movement. Watch her lower body. See how she keeps that swing forward and backward? That's why she can so easily reach out. Really excellent technique. Look at that.
There you go, there you go.
Awesome job, and casually reaches it. Excellent work. Here she goes. She's going back up that cargo net. Let's see if Steve's judge gave him that last rep. That looked pretty close. He has to complete full extension of his knees and hips before he drops that weight. Okay, he got it there. There he goes. Looks like they corrected it. Meanwhile, just in front of the camera to the left, we can see Sergio here, who's now working on his third lap. Remember, this is his third workout. I can't imagine the fatigue he's feeling right now. Excellent. And just off camera, Steve has decided to go after the rig a second time. He's spending time, he's catching his breath. So it looks like he's pretty committed to making this happen. He's got some big, deep breaths.
Nothing but a thing.
He's spending some time to put some chalk on his hands. Now, as far as rules go, only 2 things are allowed in the semifinals: chalk and tape. All the athletes seem to be taking advantage of the chalk. Nobody's taped up today. Here goes Steve. This is big. He could make up a lot of ground.
There you go.
Okay, so he's hand matching, so he is worried about his grip.
That's it.
Now, Steve is really good at obstacles. Oh, nope, his hands are gone. And so Steve's off for the run. Darn it. It looked to be more his fingertips than anything. I can see him looking at the tips of both hands. It could be from the rope climbs earlier. We don't know until this is over. As we're watching Sergio complete his hang cleans. Good. And that looks like that was his 10th hang clean. So Sergio's headed back to the rig. And Rich is done with yet another lap. 12 minutes remain. Great job, Sergio. You got it, man.
This is it, Sergio.
I'm like all of 2 feet away from him. I should say only nice things when I'm this close.
In that other workout, my man, you're doing great. Woo!
He's psyching himself up. He's shaking his hands. He's got a lot of chalk on him right now. Now, the only danger of chalk when you get this late into a workout is if you over chalk and your hand, the outer layer of your hand grips really well, but your momentum carries you another way, you can rip pretty much every callus off at once. I've done it many times. And so hopefully everything holds up here, but their grip's gone through the ringer in nearly an hour of work. Here he goes. He's psyched. He's definitely taking his time, which is the smart thing to do. If you're going to do this, you only get one shot. Here he goes. So this time he's going to be matching his grip. He does it well. You can see that's just pure upper body strength, as he doesn't have the low body swing as much. Very strong. Look at that. Good job, Sergio. Okay, so he's matching hands. Oh, he's going to skip. Oh, no! That could be a rip, guys. Let's see. Is he looking at his hand? That was tough. I don't see him looking at his hands, so I'm guessing he didn't rip. I think he just skipped a ring on the way down, trying to make up some time. That's really tough because he spent the extra time getting ready for that attempt. Oh man, that's tough. So, out of the building right now, Steve on his second penalty lap, Sergio just starting his first penalty lap, leaving at roughly 11 minutes.
You are cruising, my man. You're doing great.
His judge is running to get some of the med kit, so I'm thinking that we do have a rip. Did he rip? Rich is making a mess all over the floor. Maya's really excited about that. Maya's behind the camera right now. She's doing a great job. Okay.
You got this, Rich.
So just off camera, here goes Rich. Again, his fourth time through. His grip must be made of granite or something. I don't understand how this is possible. My goodness. Jeez, so here he goes single hand, and he's just, oh my gosh. No rip? Okay, so Sergio did not rip. He just slipped. So, perfect record on the rig for Rich, motoring his way through and straight up the cargo net. Notice technique-wise he's using a central line, which is the most efficient way to get up a cargo net, especially one with that much give. And just off camera, I just saw Sergio pass me for the second. He just started his second penalty lap. So we're waiting for Steve to get back in the building any minute. Sergio, we're expecting in about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Jess Kidd with her next attempt. She's perfect so far.
Hold tight. Yes. Keep that momentum. Good.
Now remember, as far as obstacle specialists go,
That's it.
this obstacle is not the most difficult they've ever faced, but given the circumstances they're under, this is their second workout, done about an hour under duress, and before this, each of them did about 12 rope climbs, was the average. Oh man, look at that. Smooth. She's gonna get it.
Yeah.
No problem. Very well done. Man, she's gonna make some noise here, not just in the semis, but probably in the championship.
There you go, Steve.
Steve's on his way up, so he's got 1 clean lap, 2 with a penalty. And then we'll see Sergio shortly. He had 2 clean laps, 3 clean laps, and now 1 with a penalty. So, Rich doing his work on the air bike. We're coming up to just 8 minutes left in this whole workout. Expecting to see Sergio come back in the building at any minute. Looks like his judge Dave's got eyes on. Yep, Sergio's back. How about that timing? Up he goes. So next off the bike, we're going to see Rich probably get a 5th attempt at this.
There you go.
This rig, and if he can go perfect and clean, that's going to be a really tough number to beat, but we have a lot of really good athletes. Dave, who's a judge on camera, a bit of a specialist on the rig, and then I know Taylor Overmiller, who qualified in 1st place overall, also will probably make a clean run through this workout. So, but it's all about the total package. Did they put up the weight, a heavier weight, and complete workout A, and then go into this more technical workout B and complete these obstacles when they're the most taxed? And for the first time, we have all 4 of them working at the same time on the air bike, all in very different places. And there goes Rich. So he's done with 4.
Woo! Good work, Rich. Keep it up.
Heart rate holding at a steady 88%. It's going to take him a few days until he gets back to normal after this. Very taxing. Steve, meanwhile, has a lower heart rate at 81%, and I'm guessing that he's already peaked his heart rate. Once you hit your peak heart rate, even if you maintain in the rest of the workout, you can't peak a second time. Your body just isn't capable of ramping back up to peak performance twice in a single workout. So Steve, we're likely not going to see high heart rate the rest of the way here. 81, 82 is probably the limit. Also interesting to see when both Steve and Sergio get off the bikes here, do they go back after that obstacle, or do they just take the failure and start the run? Because they both spent about a minute getting ready to attempt, and their grip is going to get shorter and shorter in terms of how much time they can afford to be off the ground. We think that Sergio's hands are good. I think just fatigue, but we do think that Steve has some type of rip, blister, or tear. So I'm expecting that he's just going to go tap and go. Everybody else's hands remarkably seem fully intact here. Okay, Jess Kidd just completed her lap. Fantastic pacing. The endurance side of her strengths is showing. Both of them hydrating. In the building here is probably about 80-85%, or 80-85 degrees. Cooler than it is outside, but not a whole lot. Jess motoring her way through. Rich is up. Up. There he goes. So that's 3 in a row. And he is done. Rich wiping his hands all over the floor, trying to make the biggest mess possible. Could he make a bigger mess? Let's find out. So Rich is still catching his breath. He's going to be up on this rig here any minute, though. Lets out a really long groan. All right, will this be as pretty as the previous? Here he goes. Uh-oh. And he's good. Look at that. If you're looking to improve your technique and grip strength, look no further than what you're seeing on camera right now. This is after over an hour of work. Oh boy, he looks like he lost his swing. Can he save it? Uh-oh, uh-oh. He's in trouble.
Come on, Rich, you got this. Hold.
Oh my gosh, he saved it. What a save.
Good save.
No, he saved it but ran.
He didn't save it.
What happened?
Oh, no.
Okay, so he called himself, his feet skimmed the ground, and he gave himself the penalty that his judge must have not seen from his angle. Wow. Honest move by Rich there, so even though it looked like on camera he got it, Rich is no longer clean for this. And just off camera here, just to my right, Jess Kidd preparing for her next attempt on this rig. Chalking up. Keeping her hands away from her body so she doesn't get sweat on any of the chalk before she gets up on this rig. Okay, she's got the ring. Here she goes. Can she get through it a 5th time? So far, so good. Okay. Inching her way through. Very clean, very diligent. Doesn't look like she's going slow because she's tired. It looks like she's just very, very focused on not letting herself waste this energy and then fail the rig. Okay, here we go. Can she get it? She gets it and stays clean. Oh my gosh. So Jess Kidd is the only clean run through this workout today. So she's going to head up. She's made up all the time. She was about 30-45 seconds behind Rich. She's headed up and leading the men. And just off camera, we just had Steve come tap the rig for a fail. And it looks like his day might be done because there's only 90 seconds left in this overall workout. Jess Kidd, on the other hand, is just motoring through. She's going to get as much distance as she can here because the distance will get her partial completion. Sergio looking at the minute clock. I think we're going to see him attempt it. He's got a minute. All of this probably a taste of what we're going to see the next 2 weekends as athletes try to qualify for the CerusBrix Championships. Jess Kidd is done. Sergio's going. 30 seconds he's got. Is he going to get this final rig? Last time he fell, it looked like he ripped, but he did not. His hands are good. Very well chalked on his hands. Here he goes. He's got 15 seconds to get through. Everybody here's cheering for him.
There you go, Sergio.
Got it. Nice work. In 10 seconds, he's going to try to get up this cargo net. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And these guys are done. Wow. Okay, guys, so that's going to be a wrap for today. We're not releasing any official scores because we don't want to give the other athletes any unfair advantage for going after the athletes who went earlier. So you'll have to do math on their rounds plus repetitions yourself if you're watching the broadcast. Other than that, that's going to be a wrap for today, guys. Thanks for watching, hanging out with me.